guys, coming to the stage. He's from Wyoming, you might not be able to tell. Carlos Edde.
They said that you would laugh if I told you I wasn't from here. You are so predictable. See, I'm not from here, and when I came here, I had to learn English, and I had to learn the emotions in English. I had to learn how to be sad in English, I had to learn how to be happy in English. And I was brought up in a very safe area, so I never really encountered any danger. So I had to learn how to be scared in English from movie language. So last year, I'm with my friend Jose, and we're outside in the street waiting for a taxi, and we get jumped. So punches are flying everywhere, crazy shit going down, and then all of a sudden, I go into scared mode, and I start screaming, "King Kong ain't got shit on me! You ever take a life, but you never take our freedom!" When I see my friend Jose is playing dead on the floor, I'm like, "Psst, Jose, are they gone? Did they go?" When I look up, there's a bunch of French tourists like, "Oh la la, great sweet performance in Miami, bravo, bravo." And see, when you go through this crazy stuff is when you learn different things about people. And I learned that people like what they can understand, they do not like what they cannot understand, and they're afraid of anything that you cannot connect to. Take me, for instance. I love country music. I mean, they sing about trucks and tractors and drinking beer and daughters. I think country music is like Sesame Street music for grown-ups. It's very simple, and if you listen to it, you might learn something. Now, I do not like hip-hop. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate and admire the urban culture. I think it's a great culture that came out of a need to express oneself artistically in an environment filled with drugs and gangs and violence due to a negligent government that never gave the resources to the necessary areas. You were expecting that shit, huh? But the reason why I do not like hip-hop is to the window, to the wall, to the sweat drop down my balls, to all skid skid motherfucker, to all skid skid goddamn. Now what does that mean? And that made me realize about a fear I have. I used to have it, so I don't have anymore. I used to be afraid of black men. Not black women, I think they're beautiful and they have soft skin. But black men. And here's why. See, when I was growing up in my country, we have a lot of brown people, but we don't have many black people. We have some, but they live on the coast in a little town, and you never get to see them. So all the exposure I had to black men were the Olympic athletes, the runners and the sprinters that I saw on TV. From Kenya and Ivory Coast. You know the biggest church in the world is in Ivory Coast? Throwing it out there. So my brain saw this black man and it connected. It said, black man, lightning fast man. When I got here to the States, the first black man I saw was Snoop Doggy Dogg. And my brain was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Black man, not only lightning fast man, but gangster dangerous man. And I was afraid of him ever since. That was until I saw Colin Powell, and he doesn't look very gangster or fast, and then that was all my fear. So, a couple weeks ago, I was in line somewhere, and I decided to talk to my fellow citizen in front. So I tap his shoulder, and he turns around, and I say, "In this upcoming election, I will vote for Ron Paul." He said, "He's old." I said, "Fuck you, sir. You shouldn't judge people." And see, here I found myself doing something that I'm completely against, and that is talking to Democrats. No. I found myself giving advice, and I am completely against giving advice. See, the Anglo-Saxon fella, which is white, He is very competitive and he doesn't care about anybody, so he never gives advice, and that's the way it should be. Now the black fella, I find it really hard to understand, so I don't know if you're rapping or you're talking, I don't know when you're giving advice. But my kind of people, the albinos, the South American people, they always give advice. And we give advice that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. See, a couple weeks ago, I got into trouble at work for calling a co-worker by a derogatory term. I'm sorry, Maria, they called you a fucking donkey, but donkeys are very useful animals. So I was telling this story to my friend and his father, an older Hispanic man, he said, you know what? I give you some advice. He looked at me straight in the eyes and said, you know what you have to do? You have to think with your brain. I was like, that's the most useless set of words in the whole history of the world. But I'm gonna end tonight by giving you some advice, as I should do, and that is never joke with people in uniforms. Never. It doesn't end well. See, some time ago I was traveling and I was going through security, so I gave the guy my ID. In this ID, my photo had a big ass afro. I looked like Erykah Badu. So this guy looks at the ID and he's like, and he says, so when did you get off the no-fly list? So I think, oh my God, funny TSA agent, first time. Carlos, it's your time to fit in with the American culture. Be funny, man, be funny. So I look at him and say, whoa, funny thing you say that. I just got off last week. This is my first flight. He said, wrong answer, buddy. So he turns around. He calls some other officers, and I see 4 big black guys coming my way. In my mind, I'm like, whoa, lightning fast. I cannot run. I have to stay put. So here's the thing. Whenever I'm nervous, I smile. So this guy, they take me to a little room with just nothing, just like one chair, and I go in, and the officer is like, oh, please sit down. So I come in, sit down. And the guy is like, oh, what's so funny? And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry, sir. Just the thing that when I was a little kid, I used to get beat up a lot. And I found out that it was really hard to punch somebody in the face when you're smiling. So it just became a natural thing. Whenever I'm nervous, I just smile. And he was like, oh, fucking freak. So he goes on and he tells me, you know what? We have a situation here. We have a guy, recently naturalized American citizen, who thinks he's funny, and he thinks it's funny to make jokes about terrorism and national security. He has a clean record, but he's an insensitive piece of shit. Now what should we do? So I get up, I look at him straight in the face, I say, let me tell you something. I give you some advice, Officer Smith. You know what you have to do? You have to think with your brain. Thank you very much, guys.
Keep it going for Carlos.